Hi, it's me, and this is Gourmet Gastronomy. Today, we are going to explore molecular cuisine. We will look at what it is, how it works, some of its history, and finally, we'll get to taste some of the amazing food that can be created using molecular gastronomy techniques. I always like to start these episodes with a great quote. And today's quote comes from Tyler Florence. He says, "Cooking is like science, chemistry, physics, and math. All those things are involved in cooking." This really sets the stage for today's episode, because molecular gastronomy is exactly that, the science of food. It is the study of the physical and chemical processes that take place when you prepare and cook food. As a kid, I used to love watching The Magic School Bus. There was one episode called The Magic School Bus and the Electric Field Trip, where Miss Frizzle and her class go inside a microwave oven to see what happens to their food. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. Only we're going to go much further. Now, if you've been around for a while, you already know that I'm not much of a scientist, so I won't pretend to explain any complicated chemical reactions here. Instead, we're going to focus on understanding why molecular gastronomy is important in the kitchen and how it can help us improve our cooking. Before we get started, I want to point out that the term molecular gastronomy was first coined in 1917 by French chemist and physicist Nicolas Appert. He developed a process that consisted of sealing food in a bottle or jar and then heating it. This process is still used today for canning and preserving foods such as fruits and vegetables. In fact, I have an entire playlist dedicated to preserving food. You can find it in the description below. In the 1970s, the term molecular gastronomy was popularized by French chef and scientist Hervé This. He applied the principles of chemistry and physics to cooking and showed that there was more to cooking than just following a recipe. Now, you might be wondering why we need to understand the science behind cooking. After all, we've been cooking without knowing any of this stuff for thousands of years. Well, the thing is that understanding the science behind cooking can help us improve our cooking. It allows us to make better decisions about ingredients and cooking techniques. For example, knowing how proteins denature can help us cook them more evenly. Knowing how starches gelatinize can help us thicken sauces and gravies. Understanding the science of cooking also helps us to be more creative in the kitchen. It allows us to experiment with new ingredients and cooking techniques and to come up with innovative dishes that we might not have thought of otherwise. One of the most exciting things about molecular gastronomy is that it allows us to play with the texture of our food. By understanding the science behind different cooking techniques, we can create textures that we might not have thought possible. For example, we can make ice cream that melts in our mouths, or chocolate that snaps and crackles like a Kit Kat bar. We can even make fake crab meat out of carrots and celery. How cool is that? One of the most common techniques used in molecular gastronomy is spherification. Spherification is a process that allows us to turn liquids into spheres. To do this, we use two types of food-safe gels. The inner gel contains sodium alginate, which is extracted from seaweed. The outer gel contains calcium chloride, which is found in a lot of processed foods. When we drop a liquid into the outer gel, it forms a sphere. That liquid can be anything we want, such as a sauce, soup, or even ice cream. Spherification is a great way to add a fun and unique touch to any dish. It's often used to serve sauces and soups, but it can also be used to create interesting shapes and textures. Another popular technique in molecular gastronomy is gelification. Gelification is the process of turning a liquid into a gel. To do this, we use a substance known as a gelling agent. One common gelling agent is agar, which is derived from seaweed. Another popular option is gelatin, which is made from animal collagen. When we heat a liquid and then cool it down slowly, the gelling agent forms a network of fibers that traps water molecules. This creates a gel-like consistency. Gelation can be used to create all sorts of interesting textures and can be used to make dishes more visually appealing. Another cool technique is cryogenic freezing. Cryogenic freezing is a process of rapidly freezing food using liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen is cooled to about 196 degrees Celsius, and then it is used to freeze food very quickly. This helps preserve the texture and nutrients of the food better than traditional freezing methods. This is because ice crystals form more slowly when food is frozen at a slower rate. Larger ice crystals can damage cell walls and break down cell membranes, which can negatively affect the texture and quality of the food. On the other hand, smaller ice crystals cause less damage to cells, resulting in better quality food. So if you want to keep your food fresh and flavorful, try cryogenically freezing it. Finally, let's talk about foams. Foams may sound complicated, but they're actually pretty simple. A foam is just a mixture of air and a liquid or puree. To make a foam, we just need to mix the ingredients together using a blender or an immersion blender. The most common type of foam is a vegetable foam, which is made from a vegetable puree and air. Vegetable foams can be used in all sorts of dishes, both sweet and savory. They're often used as garnishes or as a base for sauces. Foams are a great way to add a light and airy texture to any dish. They're also a fun and creative way to present food. And now it's time to put all this knowledge to use. I've prepared 3 dishes for us to enjoy. The first dish is a classic French appetizer called orfs en murette. This is basically poached eggs with a red wine sauce. The sauce is thickened with a gelling agent, which gives it a unique texture. The second dish is a Spanish tapa called croquetas de jamón. These are fried croquettes filled with a spicy ham sauce. The sauce is emulsified, which gives it a creamy texture. The third dish is a dessert called soufflé au Grand Marnier. This is a baked egg dish with a Grand Marnier sauce. The sauce is reduced, which gives it a thick and syrupy texture. As we eat, let's think about all the science that's happening in our mouths. Think about the different textures and flavors and how they interact with each other. Can you see how molecular gastronomy can make food more interesting and enjoyable? Now that we've tried some of the dishes, it's time to hear your thoughts. What did you think of molecular gastronomy? Would you like to try some of the dishes we made today? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, I would appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more gourmet gastronomy episodes. I have a lot of fun creating these videos, and I hope you have fun watching them, but I can't do it alone. I need your support. If you enjoy my videos and want to support them, please consider becoming a member. You can find more information in the description below. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Gourmet Gastronomy. Until next time, happy cooking.